Katherine Lee Bates was born in 1959 in Falmouth, Massachusetts. Her hometown was Wellesley, Massachusetts. She attended Wellesley High School, where she got her high school diploma, and she attended a college with the same name, Wellesley College, where she graduated. Eventually, she would go on and get a Master of Arts degree as well. Fellow Toastmasters and most honored guests, Katherine Lee Bates had a big passion for poetry, writing poems, and just writing in general, and becoming a teacher, which later she became a college professor. And she wrote poems and books. One of her biggest works was something called Goody Santa Claus on a Sleigh Ride. In fact, she is the one, pretty much, or one of the people who made the fictional character of Mrs. Santa Claus famous. Now, she used Goody. Let me explain what that is. During colonial America, especially the Puritan movements, we'll take the leader of the Puritans or the Pilgrims was William Bradford, for example. He and his wife. They were not called Mr. and Mrs. Bradford. They would have been referred to as Master Bradford and Goody Bradford. So Goody was used in place of Mrs. So basically, Goody Santa Claus was Mrs. Santa Claus. But that would not be her most famous work. At one point in 1893, the summer, she was asked to teach summer school right here in Colorado Springs at Colorado College. And while she was on a train ride from Massachusetts to Colorado Springs, she noticed a lot of God's beauty. Alabaster city buildings, mostly in Chicago, and all the grain fields in the Great Plains of the United States, particularly the wheat fields in Kansas. And as she observed God's beauty, and there's a lot of it back then, the wheels for her most famous poem began to turn in her head. Finally, after she'd been teaching at Colorado College for some time, one day she ventured up to the top of Pikes Peak. And as she overlooked Pikes Peak, what she didn't see was a big city down below. It wasn't a big, it was just a small railroad boom town back then. But what she saw was a lot of beautiful plains. And then she'd seen enough. And all the words for her most famous poem came together. And she came down from Pikes Peak and returned to the Antler Hotel, and that is where she wrote her poem, which was published in around 1895. It was called America the Beautiful. And a lot of people read that poem, a lot of people were inspired. One person in particular, a music composer by the name of Samuel Ward. Samuel Ward could take someone's writing and attach a very melodic tune to it and make quite a song. And this one would be his biggest triumph in doing that. And so he did. And a new national hymn was unveiled for the first time in 1910. and proud I could live brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Oh, beautiful for pilgrim feet who turned in passion stress, a thoroughfare for freedom beat across the wilderness. America, America, come and hide every flaw. Maintain thy soul in self-control, thy liberty in law. Oh, beautiful for heroes proved in liberating strife, who bore themselves their country love and mercy more than life. America, America, may God thy gold refine, till all success be noble best, and every grace divine. Oh, beautiful for patriot dream that sees beyond the years. Thy alabaster cities gleam amid my human cares. America, America, God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Needless to say, America the Beautiful was a big hit. And Katherine Lee Bates went from a prominent professor to celebrity almost overnight. And she, of course, would return to Wellesley, where she'd live out the rest of her life until her death in 1929, just shy of her 70th birthday, where she and the song would receive several posthumous awards. At Wellesley College, the Katherine Lee Bates professorship was set up just after her death. And there's a school in Massachusetts, an elementary school named after her, and in 1957 they had one here in Colorado Springs that was named after her as well. And of course, we have a city park in downtown that's named after the song, America the Beautiful. And in 1970, Katherine Lee Bates was inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame. As for America the Beautiful, it was one of the songs, many patriotic hymns, being considered for our national anthem, along with God Bless America, Columbia, the Gem of the Ocean, Hail Columbia. And the song that would get the honor was the one, of course, written by Francis Scott Key during the War of 1812. As he's based on the flag, our flag, he saw flying over Fort McHenry, which stayed in one piece throughout the heat of battle. And so Herbert Hoover signed into law in March 3rd, 1931, making the Star-Spangled Banner the national anthem. And America the Beautiful was also not our national hymn. God of our fathers got that honor. But in my opinion, my humble opinion, no American song captures the heart of America, its beauty and its splendor more than America the Beautiful. Madam Toastmaster.